song called Amelia Jackson.
Good morning, Amelia.
Good morning.
So why did you choose to write about Russian history?
Well, I was really interested in this period of economic growth called the Great Spurt.
Speaking of the economic growth in Russian history in the 19th century, could you elaborate more on that, please?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so there's this guy called Vita, and he was really for the military, and he saw that to advance the military, they really needed industry in Russia. So the industry was pretty much private enterprise, but it was very government supported. And Vita helped impose tariffs, which made prices more expensive because on imported goods, they kind of put taxes on them, so they cost more than Russian goods. So it kind of hurt the peasants. They also went on the gold standard, which made Russian currency more viable for other nations. So if you were comparing Russian currency to the US or Britain, it was viable against it because it was held to this gold standard, which means that every time you have 1 ruble, it's worth some amount of gold. So that made it basically viable for other nations. He also started railroads. He was the one that really wanted to push the Trans-Siberian Railway through. And this kind of worked, but because he wanted railroads because he wanted to get workers from far Russia, way out there, to Moscow and these big industrial places, like St. Petersburg. So he really went for the railroads, and that's where he invested most of his foreign capital. And he there's a graph in my book that shows how Russia's capital grew between those times. And it's kind of misleading because it's not per capita. So Russia's population was also expanding rapidly. And this graph shows, their industry was increasing, but it doesn't show per capita their industry was increasing. Because if your people are growing, your industry is also going to increase a little bit. But I mean, they did add infrastructure, so it definitely was worth it. And this was really in part due to Vita.
Okay, so what are the problems
that they faced? Oh my god! So the problems they faced was Russia was really dependent on loans. And that is because Vita had to go out of the country and be like, hey guys, can I have some money? Like, I got these really great ideas, we're gonna put in some railroads. And people were like, yeah, sure, we'll give you some loans. Which raised the prices even more in taxes on the Russian peasantry. So the Russian peasantry had to pay more for goods because of these tariffs. They weren't getting cheaply imported goods anymore. They had to pay for Russian goods. And they were on the gold standard, which devalued their money. So the peasants were kind of getting screwed over. And then on top of this, they had to pay more because of these loans Vita took out. And he was like, yeah, money, but it hurt the peasantry. So yeah. Also, he really neglected softer engineering, so he really wanted to go for that military might, and prioritized that over other things like developing tea kettles, for instance. Which would have really helped them modernize the nation. He also completely forgot about Russia's agricultural needs, which was kind of really important at this time because so much of the population was agriculturally inclined. They were working on farms, they were ex-serfs, and so forgetting this really affected them.
In what ways did they affect?
Well, they weren't really part of the industry, and the whole idea to make them ex-serfs was to get them involved in this industry and kind of jumpstart Russia's economy, and it really didn't do that because they were stuck to the land because they had to pay loans to pay for the land, and it just wasn't ideal. So in the end, despite all the good work Vita did, he got kicked out by those nobles. Yeah. Thank you guys very much.
Of course. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. Now back to you, Mike, with sports.